Welcome to Just Be with Erica Trinette, the podcast where we talk about overcoming trauma and the journey of self-discovery and self-love that comes with that. I'm your host, Erica Trinette. This podcast is for the purpose of education, inspiration, and encouragement. And although this podcast is a safe space that fosters hope and healing, it is not a replacement for professional therapy. Now that we've covered that, let's get into the episode. Enjoy. Hey, beautiful people. So today we are talking about barriers to just be. And unfortunately, there are a lot of barriers that come into place when you think about what does it take to just be me, to just do the things that I want to do, to just be. And let's get into it. So there are three things that I want to cover today. Three barriers that have the tendency to prevent us from being who we're meant to be. Number one, comparison. And I feel like that is one of the biggest issues, one of the biggest barriers that we face, because we see so many people. You think about your friends, you think about celebrities, you think about TikTok blow-ups, or you think about social media celebrities. And in your head, it's how can I be like them? Or why have I not been able to advance as well as they have advanced? Or maybe it's somebody that you work with and you're like, why didn't I get that promotion? We do the same things. We work the same way. So why did they get that promotion before me? Why was I not as deserving? Or if it's someone getting, really deep and really personal, if it's someone who has had children that didn't even want children and you've wanted children and haven't been able to have them, why is it that this person is able to have children freely and I'm struggling? And I think a lot of times with comparison, we allow ourselves to go down this deep, dark hole. And what happens is we get there, and if there's no one there to dig us out, to pull us out, we're stuck. And that's unfortunate. And a lot of times we don't know how to pull ourselves out. And honestly, sometimes we don't want to, because we want to wallow in the sadness. We want to wallow in the sorrow. Even though we say we want the joy and we say we want to feel better, sometimes it's easier just to settle in sadness than to strive for joy and to just be who you're meant to be. And so I think the way that we deal with comparison is we stop. That's the best way. You stop comparing. And sometimes that means that if there's someone on social media that you follow and you find yourself covetous or jealous of what they have, unfollow them. And it's okay. Doesn't mean you don't like them, doesn't mean you don't admire them. But if they are a hindrance to your happiness, unfollow them and still be happy for them. But that way you don't have to constantly see their joy and their advancements in your newsfeed and it becomes a stumbling block for you. Another thing when it comes to comparison, understand that everybody's journey is not the same. That what it took for this person to make it may not be the same thing that it takes for you to make it. Even when you think about looks like someone is doing great, if you don't know their backstory, you may not know how long it took them. Yes, they got that promotion in 6 months here, but maybe they worked at another company for 10 years without a promotion. And so their experience from the previous place that you were not aware of carried them over and allowed a quick advancement where they are now. So sometimes it's also about that perspective and just having that understanding to say, hey, maybe we're not the same. Maybe they've gone through something that I haven't gone through, or vice versa. And being okay with differences. Being okay that your journey does not look like theirs. And the beautiful thing is you don't want it to look like their journey. If everyone had the exact same journey, things would be a little boring. Where would the excitement come from? The beauty is the differences. The beauty is that it's not the same. When it comes to comparison, another thing is accept where you are. That doesn't mean stay there. That doesn't mean that's the end all be all for you, but accept your current state. Because sometimes we're either so busy looking in the past or we're so busy pushing forward to the future that we forget about the present. So be present and accept where you are until you get to where you're going. Still have the admiration, still have the aspiration, still have the goals, but take your time to enjoy right now. Second thing that keeps us stuck and unable to just be: fear. We fear that if people really knew us, they might not like us. They might think something's wrong. They might think we're weird. They may not understand our stories. And guess what? That's true. They may not. But think about the alternative. If fear keeps us from being ourselves, then we're basically giving the world a counterfeit. We're giving them this fake person. And so they fall in love or out of love with this person that isn't actually real. But if you would be yourself, because this is for me too, if we would be ourselves, we may lose people, we may lose friendships, we may lose opportunities or connections. But that just means that we're losing the connections, the opportunities, and the people that were never meant to be assigned to us. And that the people who are truly for us, who truly understand our quirks and our uniqueness, that they will have the opportunity to come into our lives and come into our existence and just be with us. And the beauty of that is there is no pretending, there are no hidden agendas, there are no false expectations. There's reality, and there's the ability to just be yourself. And I think the beauty in that is when you let go of fear, and I know some people are like, well, it's kind of hard to let go of fear. And that can be true sometimes. So even when you're afraid, if you would still just be, like if you say, okay, I am afraid here. I'm afraid to show them my true self, but I'm going to do it anyway. And when you do it anyway, watch what happens. And I'm not saying you have to go as soon as you finish listening to this podcast and completely just be everywhere and in every situation. That may be too much for the average person. But start with one thing. What is one area where you can say, okay, I've been showing up as a counterfeit in this area, but this is the one area for this week or for this month. And for some of you that are like, I need that extra time, Erica, I need the extra time. For this year, what is that one thing where you can say, I am going to show up as my authentic self and just be? Do that one thing and see how you feel and see how it changes your atmosphere and those around you. And I'm willing to bet, even though I'm not a betting person, that it'll be something that blows your mind in a good way. Number 3, the third thing that gets in the way, that is a barrier to just be yourself, is lack of trying. And I think sometimes that can fall into not necessarily laziness, but I think sometimes it's just not knowing how to show up and be yourself. In a world where social media, news, the other things that are happening in the world, what other people are saying, they tell you what's normal. You think about swimsuit magazines. They show us what the normal body should look like. The muscle magazines, they show us what the toned body, what the athletic body should look like. You look at some of these TV shows, what a career woman should look like, what a successful man should look like. And so we start to aspire to be all these different things, and we lose sight of the ability to just be. Not someone else's thoughts, not someone else's expectations, not what the news said, not what the magazine article told us, not what that quiz with 20 questions told you about yourself, but what you thought about yourself, what you knew to be true. That is where you need to find yourself. And sometimes that means quieting the world. Now, for me, what that may look like is getting into my quiet space and just having a moment. Sometimes I'll turn on my music, and sometimes it's instrumentals. It may not even be words. Or if it's a really soothing song, I'll turn it on and I'll just sit. And that allows me to just be. It allows me to push out everything that the world has told me, every expectation that should have never been assigned to me, every thought that was not my own. And it allows me to just be, to sit with my thoughts, my own thoughts, to think about what I really want, and to figure out how to do what is best for me that allows me to just be me. So as you're going through your day, pay attention to what you're listening to, the songs that you're listening to, the people that you're listening to, everything, what you're watching on TV, the different news medias, like what is it showing? Social media, what are they telling you? What is coming across your feed day after day that you're starting to realize is impacting your mindset? And if it's something that is not beneficial, unfollow. Stop watching it. Find a new TV show. But I want you to start putting into practice, separating what the world says and what everyone else is telling you from what you say, from what you think, from what you know to be true. Start to think on truth. Start to think on real. Not everybody else's reality, not everybody else's expectations, but start thinking about you. And the more you start thinking about you and what you want and what your life is supposed to be like, the more you'll be able to step into doing the things that are required to help you be yourself. It's a beautiful process. Sometimes it's a hard process, but it's always a worthy process. This has been a great conversation today. I thank you for taking time to sit with me, to chat with me. Until next time. Thank you for listening to the Just Be podcast with Erica Trinette. If you would like to join the community, connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok using the handle Overcoming to Become. That's Overcoming, 2, Become. If you like the podcast, please give us a good rating and share it with someone who might also find it helpful for them on their journey to heal and overcome. If you would like to support the podcast, we say thank you in advance. The link is in the description. If you would like to support the nonprofit Overcoming to Become, please visit the website www.overcomingtobecome.org/donate. As always, beautiful people, be blessed and be a blessing. Until next time.